Bye. Tirani zeti tinga wontenga hampata seti ken ni biza wontenga la po. So tanga pa yiro ti yenu kwa tolokrame. Deti daru la dana wo seti dati. Deti bozi ana pati bola ma hampo. So makala yata teti yela le tolokravala. Dana wontenga le ni.
The progress is fantastic. These women used to work in the open like this. Sun, rain, everything hitting them, snakes. It was terrible. A warehouse has been transformed into a factory where their machines are. They no longer have to bring the machines from storage out into the open. The machines are right there, so they just go in and work.
Where we set out some time ago, and the objectives that we wanted to deliver against, we've done really well with the weavers. Bear in mind, this community are the furthest away from anywhere else that the decisions are made in Ghana. You know, literally a couple of miles from the Burkina Faso border, working from home in micro environments, isolated from each other. We chose these people because they were the hardest to reach. And if we believe in the safe and healthy world of work, we mean it for everybody.
IOSH's global strategy really is aligned with getting to the heart of really critical health and safety issues. We're a charity by setup, and so we have charitable objects that guide the work that we do. So everything that we do has to be done for public benefit. And our first charitable object is all around trying to help those that influence health and safety across the world to do it better.
So these weavers are young girls that were making the most beautiful products, but getting very little back in return because the equipment they were using was hurting them, whether it was repetitive strain injuries from the looms or whether when they were spinning the cloth, the sharp edges were cutting them. So our risk assessment identified clearly tactical things that we could do to make them safer, get them undercover so they can work regardless of the weather, make the machines safer for them so they weren't getting harmed.
Like complain number la ana giriga ba hanzen banin sudama salat mantele de like bamal bara ana giri mate inta wo gelati ba padalas la ana find la kan mata banama like basin tora machine la ana find ba wo ga ta problem.
According to the women, they express their gratitude and their happiness for the new equipment that they have because it no longer stresses them like what they were using before. So for this reason, they come to work every day.
To woke up one la fine. Trane tinama po anala. Dane tara down. De mal kuma sinse kala wo kuma. De lati inyela dongala ma de amasina song boom.
Because the posture of sitting has been improved and the paddles have been changed to something better to support their feet. And this helped them to scale up. About the IOSH training, we brought in a professional that we needed the women to be educated on how they need to work in a health and safety way because they need to know about the hazards and how they'll be able to handle them. They need to know the number of hours they are supposed to work and how they can take breaks in between the hours in order to keep themselves healthy and not just invest in the work and end up falling sick.
Taha po tomala tom plaka paro karipiela ayi seti take vo because to vo titi inyela nya panga let titi le po tona le tom la pate pongre titi pong.
By having boots on the ground. So our members in particular, and a huge thank you to our volunteers that have been involved in this work, actually allow us to take something that is very strategic and very policy driven into the reality of what it's like to work in these communities. And that's really what makes the difference. So our global strategy covers everything that you can imagine, all the way through to absolute impact on the ground.
Every time we return to these communities, we were hearing, tragic stories of the women being hurt in the workplace. Since we've been supporting this community, we know of none. You know, so have we helped people immediately in protecting them in the workplace? Yes, we have. In terms of how do we track that beyond that, we track that through the government, because now these women have formed a cooperative and they're in the formal economy.
What projects like this can do, it can bring that evidence to governments. It can bring projects on the ground to say, this is actually what's happening. This is the voice of the rights holder. Here are some of the recommendations, and here's the evidence of what can actually work and how it can bring return on investment to support workers, to support businesses, and also importantly contribute back to the state and to that economic development.
But also beyond that, the original objectives were to get them to be more productive and profitable. And so it's about what do we do with that cloth? Historically, they just made cloth and took it to the market and sold the cloth, and others turned it into products that were highly valuable. So they're sitting in that value chain, or they were sitting in a value chain that was hugely valuable, but very little of that value was sticking to them. The objectives were not just immediate, obvious health and safety challenges. We needed to address those, of course, but it was also about prosperity, in coming into the formal economy, so that all of the value in the value chain and the supports from the government could stick to them. And have we done this with the weavers? Absolutely, yes, we have.
Bata te singzian la le nada so ta han wora ta bana da ala po metin nera wa awanyo awatu ukufule bala la ta songre bo orato to ayang lebiya to ayang behe te kwamo la te songre za awabe.
There's so many positives, but one that we didn't envisage was how the cooperatives that were being formed both in Kenya and in Ghana, so in Ghana, Lana Empire, how they would then form cross-country collaborations to see how, in the case of the textile weavers, that the amazing products, how can they be combined with the embroidery and the beadwork from the Kenyan quarry workers and the leather in the future from the fishmonger women.
With Lana Empire Africa and its partners, so far our partners have come true for us, which we are grateful for. As it stands now, there's still a lot to do in the community, and the women, as well as the entire community, need our help.
I think the important thing to say is that this work is never done. It's been absolutely fantastic to see the improvements to working conditions that have gone on. So if you take the ladies that have been working in the weaving community, we've been able to help to identify the risk of working outside, of carrying really heavy looms to work on, all the sort of musculoskeletal injuries and damage that was occurring through that. And fantastically, the community have been able to set up within a little factory now and to start to formalise that work. But of course that then introduces new risks. And so that process of risk assessment is continual. So for example, the factory where the weaving takes place now doesn't have windows. And so the ventilation wasn't so good. So the ladies are now working on the veranda of the factory rather than inside the factory. And of course that then introduces new risks. Then the veranda is narrow, potentially there's risk to fall off that or work in a more confined space than is necessary. Obviously putting windows into the factory would help ventilation and encourage the work to take place inside. And that affords even more protections for that community.
Before, we worked beneath the open sky, the heat heavy on our backs, our bodies hurting. We dreamt of safety, of shelter for a long time. Dreams felt far away. Today, I walk with hope. Today, we are seeing.